Hey, you, you watching this video, who clicked on this video, who probably found it on the YouTube search function or found it in your recommended, whatever happened first, I don't care. Are you someone new to the Transformers franchise? Are you looking to expand your basic knowledge about the franchise? Or are you simply here for a good time? Well, I've got the video for you. My name is Jax, and I have been a Transformers fan for 5 years now, shorter than most, longer than some. I am an avid Transformers connoisseur, one could say, who in the past 5 years has learned so much about the Transformers franchise, from the different continuities, to the creators, to many different pieces of fandom terminology. And I thought that this would be a really cool video to make, as this is the kind of video that I would have wanted when I was a fan first coming into the Transformers fandom, especially. And especially if you were someone like me first entering the fandom who didn't practically know anything deeper about the Transformers series or about continuities or about the terminology especially that is used in like fan fictions. I know that I would have really loved a video like I'm making now when I had first entered the fan base to go over these terms, this kind of vocabulary, because truly, especially when you're on the fan fiction side of things, it is like knowing a second language, knowing and understanding all of these like different terms and like vocabulary that is used in these like fan works and even within like the main canon continuities themselves. This would have been so helpful, which is exactly my purpose for making this video today. And I hope that truly you will learn something from this video, and that this may even help you step into the fan base or step into Transformers as a series, as a franchise. Now, what I'm thinking about doing is that I'm going to be making this a multiple part series. This first video is mainly going to be going over any general terms, general pieces of canon media, and fanon terminology that is the absolute basics of what you need to know in order to either start watching Transformers, reading the comics, or reading a bit of fan fiction. Fan fiction terminology, though, I think will be much more for the next video. Also, alongside this video, I am currently working on one giant Google Doc compiling all of the terms and vocabulary used in Transformers. I haven't linked it in this video yet, as it's not really complete yet, and there's still a lot of names, terminology, and stuff that I still need to make the definitions for and everything, but that will hopefully either be in the next video or the video after that, of which I will make completely free and accessible for everyone to read and use as basically a vocabulary master list for the Transformers franchise. And so, without any further ado, let's get right into it. So, to start with, I have broken down this basically vocabulary master list into different sections, and we will be starting out with the general section. This will go into the basic, absolute bare bones basics terms that everyone will either already kind of know about or is the absolute need to know. And so, like I said, with the bare bone basics, we have the Transformers franchise. The Transformers franchise very often follows the adventures of the Autobots battling the evil Decepticons, often protecting and saving places like Earth and Cybertron. First established in 1984 with the cartoon and Generation 1 toy line, it has spawned many different pieces of media and many different toy lines throughout its 30-plus year run, of which Transformers recently just had their 40th anniversary, which I did go to the screening for that, and it was chill. It was fun. I don't know if I'll be able to find my fit that I wore for that, but I basically went in like a little Optimus Prime getup. Next up, we have the Transformers race. The Transformers are a species of sentient techno-organic beings, very often hailing from the planet Cybertron, not always, but mostly. Diaclone and Microchange. Diaclone and Microchange were the very first Transformers and were what the Transformers were called before Transformers were even named Transformers. Originally created by Takara Tomy in the early 1980s, and in 1983, some Hasbro representatives were attending the Tokyo Toy Show, in which they discovered the lines Diaclone and Microchanger, and from then on went to work alongside Takara Tomy to create what is now known today as the Transformers. TF. TF is the acronym for Transformers. Also, inconveniently, is the acronym for the fuck as well, which it is very often confused with outside of the fanbase. Autobots. The Autobots are your typical good guys of the series, known for being heroic, kind, and gentle. They are often seen battling the evil Decepticons and often saving Earth and Cybertron, as well as sometimes the universe. Decepticons. The Decepticons are the evil and treacherous bad guys of the Transformers franchise, often seen battling against the Autobots for Earth, Cybertron, and the galaxy. Bot. Bot is the shorthand term often used to generally refer to Transformers as per the suffix bot in robot. But it is also used to commonly refer to the Autobots as also per its suffix bot. Con. Con, very similar to bot, is the shorthand for Decepticons, as per its suffix con. Alt mode. An alt mode, or an alternative mode, is what it says, an alternative mode of a transformer, often used to refer to the type of vehicle that a transformer can transform into. Most transformers have at least one alt mode that they can change into. However, there are some exceptions to this rule, as there are a thing called triple changers. Energon. Energon is the life source and basically food for the Transformers. It can come in liquid forms, including drinks as well as alcoholic beverages, and solid forms either as cubes, Energon goodies, or sticks, as well as crystals. Now, I am unsure whether it can come in a gas form, however, JRO, the author of MTMTE, has confirmed an interesting piece of fanon media that Ultra Magnus vapes, so I would maybe assume from that there can be a gas form of Energon. The Matrix of Leadership. The Matrix of Leadership, also sometimes referred to as the Creation Matrix, often seen donned by Optimus Prime. The Matrix of Leadership is an important artifact to the Cybertronians, often battled for by the Decepticons. The Matrix, depending on continuity, can do many different things, as well as create new life for the Transformers. The Matrix is also a symbolic tool and sometimes a sort of magical tool that creates primes. For example, Orion Pax became Optimus Prime due to him obtaining the Matrix of Leadership, and it selecting him as a prime. How exactly the Matrix of Leadership chooses primes is sometimes up to interpretation or other nefarious means in some continuities. The Allspark. The Allspark, very similar to the Matrix of Leadership, is an insanely important artifact to Cybertronians, and sometimes a place depending on continuities. The reason that it is so important is that the Allspark is one of the only ways that Transformers can procreate and reproduce. As the Transformers are an asexual species, they cannot reproduce organically. And very similar to the Matrix of Leadership, the Autobots and Decepticons often fight over the possession of this artifact. On to the next session, official creators, authors, and artists. Hasbro. Hasbro is the current owner and also one of the creators for the Transformers franchise. Hasbro also owns many other popular toy franchises, including My Little Pony and G.I. Joe, which are often given crossovers between the Transformers franchise. Takara Tomy. Takara Tomy is the other creator alongside Hasbro responsible for creating the Transformers. Takara Tomy is a Japanese toy company responsible for creating toys for many popular series, including Pokemon and Beyblade. Takara Tomy is also responsible for the creation of the Diaclone and Microchange toy lines, which, as we learned previously, were eventually rebranded into the Transformers. Marvel and Marvel Comics. It shouldn't be a surprise that Marvel, responsible for many of the popular superhero franchises today, including the MCU, at one point owned the Transformers license. They were also responsible for the very first Transformers comics published in America, as well as a comic run in the UK that was also very popular with UK fans. Both of these runs originated a lot of stuff for the Transformers franchise and also characterizations of the characters. And I've said this in a previous video, but I actually own some of the Marvel comics. I have a collection of them sitting up on my shelf back there. I'll put a picture here of it for y'all. They're very fun, they're very silly, and I highly recommend you give them a read if that's something you want to read. Spider-Man also makes an appearance, because of course he does. IDW Publishing. IDW is an American publishing company, also the company known for holding the Transformers comic license for the longest time in the franchise. For 17 years from 2005 to 2022. IDW Publishing is also responsible for the creation of some of the most beloved comics in the franchise and fandom, including More Than Meets the Eye, Lost Light, and the Wreckers trilogy. Skybound Entertainment. Skybound Entertainment is the current publishing company that holds the current Transformers comic license. They are currently making 2 comic series featuring Transformers. The main run, The Transformers, as well as Void Rivals, which features cameos from the Transformers. Peter Cullen. Peter Cullen is the titular voice of Optimus Prime from the Generation 1 cartoon and movie. He has gone on to reprise his role many times over within the franchise, including in the live-action movies and in Transformers Prime. Peter Cullen is also known as the original VA for Ironhide. Frank Welker. Frank Welker is the beloved voice of Megatron from the G1 cartoon and movie. Frank Welker has very often reprised his role throughout the franchise, including again in the live-action movies and also in Transformers Prime, much like Peter Cullen, as well as providing the voice for many other characters including Galvatron, Soundwave, Ravage, Rumble, and Skywarp. David Kaye. David Kaye is an extremely beloved voice actor within the fandom, best known for his vocal work as Megatron from Beast Wars as well as the Unicron trilogy. He has also provided a handful of other voices, including Optimus Prime from Transformers Animated. He is especially well known for this particular line, which every Transformers fan will know right off the top of their head. Yes! I can't do it justice, but you really should listen to it in Beast Wars. James Roberts. James Roberts, often referred to as JRO within the fanbase, was one of the most prolific writers for the IDW comics. Best known for his work, as many fans will know, on More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light. He is quite active in the fanbase, often interacting with pieces of fan work or confirming very silly pieces of fan theory. He also, within the past 2 years or so, published the notes for MTMTE and Lost Light, and I'm not sure if he's selling them digitally or not, but definitely go check out his Twitter or his Blue Sky or something and give that a look, because it's all very interesting. And as well as, of course, I recommend you go read More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light. They are both extremely good comics, and I think some of the best Transformers content within the franchise. Next section, Continuities and Media. Generation 1. Generation 1, of course, houses the first generation of the Transformers series, including the toy line, cartoon, and movie. It is sometimes also used as a broad umbrella term to refer to the first generations of Transformers, including G1 all the way to Generation 3. It is also sometimes referred to anything within the Generation 1 continuity like family, including the IDW comics and other series. The Bayverse. The Bayverse, or the Bay films, is often the term used in the fanbase to refer to the original live-action Transformers films directed by Michael Bay. This includes 2007's The Transformers, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Transformers Dark of the Moon, Transformers Age of Extinction, and Transformers The Last Knight. Depending on who you ask in the fandom and what part of the fandom you're in, these films are either heralded as nostalgic classics or fucking shit, honestly. The Nightverse. The Nightverse is a term often used by the Transformers fanbase to refer to all of the live-action Transformers films post Michael Bay's departure from them. This includes the Bumblebee movie by Travis Knight, hence its name, The Nightverse, as well as the most recent live-action film, Rise of the Beasts. Transformers 1. Transformers 1 is going to be the first fully animated Transformers movie since the original G1 movie. It follows a young Orion Pax and D16, before they were called Megatron and Optimus Prime, as their adventures begin and they journey to the surface world. Transformers 1 is set to come out on September, I believe it's 20th, and it is a very highly anticipated movie within the fanbase. The Aligned Continuity. The Aligned Continuity is one of the largest continuities in the Transformers franchise, housing such Transformers media as Transformers Prime, Transformers Robots in Disguise 2015, The Covenant of Primus, War for Cybertron the Game series, Transformers Exodus and its trilogy books, Rescue Bots, and Rescue Bots Academy. I think I missed one. I probably did. It is also heralded as one of the messiest continuities due to its just sheer size and different interpretations. That includes many plot holes and continuity errors, but it is still very well beloved in the modern day fanbase. IDW1. IDW1 was the first run of IDW Publishing's Transformers comics from 2005 to 2018. It houses some of the most beloved comics within the franchise, including More Than Meets the Eye, Lost Light, and the Wreckers trilogy. It is also one of the largest continuities within the Transformers franchise alongside the Aligned continuity, and is responsible for, as well as many of the Aligned continuities bits and pieces, for bringing in much of the modern fanbase that is known today. Beast Wars. Beast Wars, beginning in 1996, houses the Beast Wars cartoons, toy line, and comics. Beast Wars the cartoon is especially well loved in an older part of the fanbase, known for its amazing vocal performances as well as style of storytelling and humor. Also houses one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise, Tarantulas and Dinobot. Transformers Cyberverse. Transformers Cyberverse, also known as Transformers Bumblebee's Cyberverse Adventures, was a cartoon and toy line started in 2018. The cartoon of which is well known for its very vibrant and animated style, and within the fanbase kind of has very mixed reception. It's a series that either people really love or really hate in the fanbase. Personally, I think it's decent. Transformers Earthspark. Transformers Earthspark is the latest cartoon in the Transformers franchise, first released in 2022. I just need to keep TFWiki open, methinks. It did start in 2022, right? I am correct, because I'm pretty sure that's when I had my live stream with Travis. God. Releasing in 2022, it is very well loved in the modern day fan base, especially for its queer representation, as well as modern retelling of the Transformers and many of the Transformers characters. Transformers Earthspark is also the first Transformers cartoon to feature a non-binary character, as well as house the first non-binary Transformer in the series, Nightshade. Next section, factions, groups, and classes. Seekers. Seekers refers to a body type housed by Decepticons, most notably Starscream, and all of his clones or fellow Seekers. Especially within the Transformers fandom, it is a very popular frame type for original characters, which is pretty slay because it is a pretty awesome frame type. Combiners. Combiners refers to a type of Transformer that when combined with other Transformers creates a larger Transformer, which can also be referred to as a combiner. For example, the Transformer Hook is a combiner because he can combine with his group, the Constructicons, in order to form the larger combiner, Devastator. Beastformers. Beastformer is the umbrella term for Transformers who can transform into some kind of organic alt mode. Most often, they can transform into some type of animal, for example, Ravage, Laserbeak, Optimus Primal, Cheetor, and Rat Trap. Predacons and Maximals. Predacons and Maximals are the factions in the Beast Wars cartoons, similar to the Autobots and Decepticons, led by Megatron and Optimus Primal respectively. Dinobots. Dinobots are a group of Transformers who can transform into dinosaurs. This group houses such characters as Grimlock, Snarl, Slag. Should I call him Slag? I'm like, I don't know if that's... Yeah, Slag. Well, wait, what is he also called? Scar? No. Slug. That's it. Ain't no Slag. Sludge, Snarl, and Swoop. Paddles, baby, I love paddles. Insecticons. Insecticons refers to a group of Decepticons who can transform into insects. I don't know any of the Insecticons' names. I don't care about them that much. I'm thinking of the one from Transformers Prime. What is that one called? This includes the characters such as Bombshell, Shrapnel, and Kickback. Triple Changer. A triple changer refers to a Transformer who has 3 different modes: their robot mode, one alt mode, and then their second alt mode. Triple changers include characters such as Six-Shot, and I think that's it. I mean, Megatron does in some continuities. He would count as a triple changer, wouldn't he? Oh, Astro Train is a triple changer? Oh yeah, because he can do jet and train. Yeah. Springer, Blitzwing, and Astro Train. The Quintessons. The Quintessons, also pronounced Quintessons, are an evil alien race most well known for their rotating heads. Often in the Transformers franchise, they are enslaving the Transformers to some extent, or have in the past, or do in the future, etc., etc. Next section, places and things. Cybertron. Cybertron is the home planet of the Transformers, or for most Transformers. Transformers hailing from planet Cybertron are often referred to as Cybertronians. However, this can be a more general term just to widely refer to Transformers in general. The Ark/Omega Supreme. The Ark is the Autobots' main base and ship, which can also transform into the Titan-class Transformer, Omega Supreme. The Nemesis/Trypticon. The Nemesis is the Decepticon ship as well as their home base in the G1 cartoon. The Nemesis, depending on continuity, can also transform into the Titan-class Transformer, Trypticon. Teletran-1. Teletran-1 is the Autobots' supercomputer on the Ark. Teletran often helps the Autobots out in order to figure out how to defeat the Decepticons, or to help figure out how to deceive their own deceptive plots. MacAdams. MacAdams is a popular bar on Cybertron, also known for being the residence of the bar host, MacAdam himself. Space Bridge. Space Bridge, much like its name, is a bridge between spaces. A space bridge opens up a portal from one location to another, allowing Autobots and Decepticons to easily travel from one location to another. Very often, it is a point of contention throughout the franchise, as space bridges very often somehow break, leaving both the Autobots and Decepticons stranded on Earth. The Well of Allsparks. The Well of Allsparks is the location where most sparks are usually created from, depending on continuity, of course. The Iacon Hall of Records. The Iacon Hall of Records was Optimus Prime's original place of work when he was formerly known as Orion Pax. It is basically one big library or archive of Transformers history and culture. It is also often the base of Alpha Trion, Optimus Prime's mentor. The Lost Light. The Lost Light is the giant city-sized ship run and owned by Rodimus Prime and crew, popularly featured in the More Than Meets the Eye comics. Swerves. Swerves is a popular bar on the Lost Light run by the man himself, Swerve. On to the next section, times. The Great War, also known as the Cybertronian Civil War. The Great War refers to the war between the Autobots and Decepticons, spanning usually millions upon millions of years. Cycle. Now, a little disclaimer with this particular part, things like measurements of time are very wibbly-wobbly in Transformers canon and fanon. Things like a cycle or stellar cycle or a click or a nanoclick are very much up to interpretation. As both within canon and fanon, these words aren't really used consistently, or it depends on context, but I have done my best here in this video, and also which will be seen on the vocabulary master list, to give the most common definitions of these words that I tend to see both within fanon and canon, as well as other interpretations that these words could possibly mean. But at the end of the day, this is truly up to your own interpretation of what you kind of want these words to mean. And this is by no means like a hard set and fast like list of like rules that you have to follow. Like, Transformers continuity in canon is just so wibbly wobbly like a good majority and chunk of the time that it doesn't matter. Many of us, especially within the fanon, tend to just create continuity soup. So just simply have fun with it. So a cycle usually refers to a measurement of times anywhere from between an hour to as long as a year. Stellar cycle. A stellar cycle is usually a measurement of time that is larger than a cycle. This can be any sort of time spanning from a year to a decade to a centennial to a millennia to longer. Click. A click usually refers to a short period of time, usually shorter than a cycle. This can be anywhere from a few minutes to a second. It is also sometimes used as a measurement of distance. For example, to use it in a sentence, the shop is 5 clicks south. Nanoclick or nanosec. A nanoclick or nanosec usually refers to a shorter length of time than a click. This can be anywhere from a second or less. Section Anatomy and Biology. T-cog/transformation cog. The transformation cog is the part of the transformer that allows them to transform. Most mechs are born with a T-cog, however, some mechs can either choose not to use their T-cog, aren't born with a T-cog, or have their T-cog removed somehow. Mechs who are unable to transform or choose not to transform can be referred to as monoformers. Frame. A frame is pretty simple. It refers to the body of a transformer. Spark. A spark is essentially a heart and a soul. It is also an extremely fragile organ, so usually it is housed within a transformer's frame in order to protect it. Sentio metallico. Sentio metallico is essentially living metal. It is what makes up a transformer's body, basically providing the DNA and genetic coding for a transformer. Chassis. The chassis is usually the chest of a transformer. Chassis, of course, springing from the word also used for a trunk of a car, which is very often the chest of a transformer, the chest plate of a transformer. Comm line. A comm line, also referred to as comms or communication line, is an internal communication system used between transformers to communicate over large distances. This can either be through audio means, usually audio means within the show, but can also be text means in some fan fiction and other fan interpretations. It's essentially like a built-in radio or walkie-talkie, sometimes even a chat room depending on interpretation. Forged. Forging refers to the process of forging a transformer. This is one of the forms of procreation and reproduction for the Transformers race, most commonly used in the IDW comics, but also very commonly used within fandom and within continuity soup. Forging specifically refers to the process of sparks being naturally created. This also can be up to continuity interpretation. For example, in the IDW comics, naturally made sparks occur when there are energy waves and pulses sent from Vector Sigma that then create hotspots along Cybertron that house many fields of sparks. Transformers often then gather to celebrate the creations of these sparks and feed and nurture these sparks until Sentio Metallico bonds to them naturally, usually over a process of no longer than 2 weeks. And eventually, when the Sentio Metallico is done forming and molding the protoform, a transformer is created and can then go on to learn to do things like speak, walk, and transform. Cold construction. Cold construction, very similar to forged, is another form of procreation and reproduction for the Transformers race. Again, commonly seen and used in the IDW comics. Cold construction, unlike forging, is a more artificial way to create transformers. For example, a spark is usually artificially created somehow depending on continuity, and then frozen with photonic crystals until it can be placed in a artificially made body, usually made by a blacksmith, which is like the equivalent of like a prenatal like nurse kind of thing. After the body is created, a spark is then placed into this body cold, as per the meaning, cold construction. And very often within the IDW comics, this is usually a point of contention between the Transformers race, between being forged and cold constructed, as it's either like religiously seen and culturally seen as like lesser than or something. It is a very interesting point of like cultural goings-ons for Transformers as a race. Highly recommend the IDW comics, by the way. Mech. A mech often refers to a masculine transformer or a transformer who identifies as male. However, mech can also be used to generally refer to just transformers in general. Very similar to referring to a transformer as that bot over there or that mech over there kind of thing. You might have even heard me use the word once or twice within this video. Mech is most common to the word male or man for humans. Femme. A femme refers to a feminine transformer or a transformer who identifies as female. It is most similar to the word female or woman for humans. Next section, spirituality, myth, and culture. Ba weep grana weep ninibong. Ba weep grana weep ninibong is a universal greeting and basically means we come in peace. It was first featured in the G1 movie and has become a very popular phrase within the franchise and within the fandom. Everyone knows it. Primus. Primus was the very first Transformer and is also the god of the Transformers, and is the reason that Transformers as a race were created. Primus created them from nothing. Unicron. Being Primus's evil other half, Unicron is hell-bent on destroying anything and everything in the galaxy. Unicron in his first go was defeated by Primus and the 13 Primes, and then, depending on continuities, is either a floating head or literally the Earth itself. The 13 Primes. The 13 Primes, also referred to as the Primes, were the very first Transformers and Primes ever created by Primus, each of which were given unique attributes and abilities in order to defeat Unicron. The 13 Primes consist of Prima, Vector Prime, Alpha Trion, Solus Prime, Micronus and Alchemist Prime, Nexus, Onyx, and Amalgamus Prime, Quintus Prime, Liege Maximo, the Fallen, aka Megatronus, and the 13th. I highly recommend, if you want to learn more about the 13 Primes, that you actually read The Covenant of Primus. I still currently need to read it myself, and maybe in the future I will also create a video based on the 13 Primes, because I really, really love them as like characters and entities, because they're just so interesting to learn about. I love learning about the origins of things, and especially the Primes as characters and as like Transformers are just so cool and unique, and they really, really need to like be featured more as like actual characters throughout the series, which they are in certain series. Not going to spoil anything, but they are in certain series, but never usually given like their own like dedicated episodes that are literally just them. Especially because between Megatronus, the relationship between Megatronus and Solus Prime is very interesting to me, and they were also the first Transformers to ever fall in love. But they have such interesting lore and interesting just characters. I can't wait to read The Covenant, and I highly recommend it. Cybertronian or Neo-Cybex. Cybertronian, also known as Neo-Cybex, is the modern-day language of Cybertronians. Cybertronian originated from something either called Ancient Autobot or Old Cybertronian, Old Ancient Cybertronian, or something like that, which later became different sects of the language that then make up the Neo-Cybex/Cybertronian that is used commonly today between the Transformers race. Collectors and fandom. MacAdams. MacAdams is the tag commonly used in the Transformers fandom to differentiate between Bayverse content and other types of Transformers media. This came about as during the Bay Films productions and release, Transformers fans on social media were having a hard time finding content that wasn't related to Bayverse or promotional material for those movies, and so the term MacAdams was created, hailing from MacAdams Bar and the character MacAdams, in order to be able to filter through Bayverse content and find content for other pieces of Transformers media, fan work, etc. Today, the tag is more generally used just to generally identify any Transformers content. Generations. Transformers Generation is a modern-day toy line encasing like a ton of different Transformers toy lines, including Transformers Studio Series, Transformers War for Cybertron, Transformers Prime Wars, and many, many other different toy lines. Legacy. The Legacy toy line was a toy line created in preparation for the Transformers 40th anniversary. The Legacy toy line in-houses characters from across the franchise, either giving older or main characters newer, updated figures, or giving characters who have never previously had a figure to begin with. Due to the scale of Legacy, as well as providing figures for many characters who haven't gotten a figure before and are very popular within the fan base especially, as well as being one of the cheaper toy lines, has made the Legacy line one of the most accessible toy lines within the Transformers franchise. Masterpiece. The Masterpiece toy line is a toy line specifically geared towards collectors of Transformers. Due to this, it is generally a much more expensive line than the usual toy lines like Legacy and Generations, as well as containing figures with much higher quality materials, and who also tend to be much larger in scale. TF Source. TF Source is your main hub for all Transformers figure needs. It has everything from official toy brands to third-party toy brands and more. TFCon. TFCon is one of the primary and most popular Transformers-themed conventions. They are usually held annually within the US as well as Canada, and is a place for fans, collectors, and more to come together and celebrate everything that they love about Transformers. This includes things such as fan artists, cosplayers, collectors, voice actor panels, and more. TF Nation. TF Nation is very similar to TFCon, except it's UK-based, often featuring either VAs, artists, or authors who are UK-based, like James Roberts and Nick Roche, who very frequently make appearances at TF Nation.
What the fuck is DairyCon in Wisconsin? What the fuck?
Jobby the Hong. Jobby the Hong is a popular Transformers toy reviewer, best known for his comedic and fast-paced reviews of many, many different Transformers toy lines, both official and third-party. Chris McFeely. Chris McFeely is another well-known Transformers creator, best known for his series Transformers The Basics, providing educational videos about Transformers, its characters, lore, and more. Highly recommend you go check him out if you want to learn more about Transformers. I very often watched his videos when I was first entering the fandom to learn more about the franchise and about my favorites and all of that.
Hi guys, this is Editing Jax here, and I wanted to add this particular vocabulary piece in because it's so important, and I don't know how I missed it because I was literally using this while I was recording. I've been using it while I'm editing. It is a resource that every Transformers fan knows and uses because it is so useful, especially for learning just basic knowledge, other bits of specific lore pieces and such. But it's TFWiki. TFWiki is basically the Transformers Wikipedia. TFWiki provides all of your basic to hyper-specific knowledge about the Transformers franchise, series, cartoons, comics, everything. Like I said, I use it all the time to not only learn more lore myself, but to fact check myself. I so highly recommend TFWiki as a resource if you want to learn more about Transformers.
And so that is the end of the general vocabulary master list. I do have a final and last section in the actual Google Doc for the vocabulary master list. However, this is encasing of the 18+ content. I may make a separate video entirely for that, as I don't feel comfortable putting that in this video. I would prefer just to have it in a space where it's out of the way that, hey, this is an adults only thing. Only watch this if you are an adult, please. But I think I will definitely be making a video on that in the future because that is such a fun topic to go over because so many people are always so surprised when Transformers has its own version of this that I probably can't say on YouTube. And of course, like I said, I do plan on making a part 2 to this list, going over more of the obscure terms as well as hopefully more of the anatomical terms that are especially handy to have when you read things like Transformers fan fiction or go read Transformers fan works. But I hope that you found this video helpful and entertaining and maybe even learn something from it. If you would like to help support me, my Ko-fi is linked below where you can give me a tip. But if you do not have the means to financially financially support me, which is totally fine, you can follow me on my other social medias and also subscribe to this channel down in the description below. I tend to make plenty of Transformers content as well as anything else, as I am very interest-based and it depends on what the current hyperfixation is at that point in time. I've covered things like mental health, BG3, talking about my artwork. I will hopefully be back with part 2 next month or the month after that, whenever I make a video, really. Maybe even within like the next week or two, depending on how well this is received and depending on my spoon level. But I will see y'all in the next video. I hope you are having a good day, and remember, if not, I'm sending you spoons. Bye!